I only did one bad thing in my life," he cried. "I've been making up for it ever since." His final words had been, "I'm sorry," not for what he'd done, but because he knew what was coming, and it peed his pants. The scout could only extract so much information from a man who accepted his own execution, who seemed to believe that he deserved it. They had not been in a place where the scout could use pliers or knives or ropes or electricity or waterboards. All he had was the threat of death, and Utect had closed his eyes and had begun mumbling through a prayer. The scout had seen the resignation. He looked at the shooter and nodded. The shooter shot him twice in the back of the head, halfway through the prayer. Now he waited for Sanderson and the dog. They needed 2 more names. The scout said in the shooter's ear, "He's coming." Bobby Sanderson strolled down 3rd Street with the dog on the end of its lead, a familiar nighttime sight. The dog was as regular as a quartz watch, took a small dump at 8 o'clock in the morning and a big one at 11 o'clock at night. If it wasn't out on the street, it'd be somewhere in the yard, and Sanderson would step in it the next day, sure as God made little green apples. So, twice a day, they were on the street. Sanderson was preoccupied with an argument he'd had with his girlfriend. Or maybe not an argument, but he didn't know exactly what else you would call it. She didn't want him out at night, not for a while, not until they found out whether something was going on. "If you're scared enough that you have meetings, then you ought to be scared enough to stay inside at night," she'd said. She'd been in the kitchen drying the dishes with an old square of unbleached muslin. She smelled of dishwashing liquid and pork chop grease. "You know what happens with the dog if you don't get his walk," Sanderson said. "Besides, who's going to mess with Mike?" But before he'd gone, he'd stepped back to the bedroom as though he'd forgotten something, had taken the .38 out of a bedroom bureau and slipped it in his pocket. He was not the kind of guy to be pushed. If somebody pushed, he'd push back, twice as hard. Sanderson was 57, 5'6", 160 pounds, a short man with a short man complex. You don't fuck with me. You don't fuck with the man. He thought like that. He thought like a TV show. The shooter was waiting behind a rampart of limestone blocks next to the monument. Not tense, not anything, not thinking, just waiting, like a rock, or a stump, or a loaded bullet. Waiting. Then a word in his ear. One word. Coming. He heard first the click of the dog's toenails on the sidewalk. The animal probably went 100 pounds, maybe even 120. Had to take him smoothly. Close now. The shooter's hand was at his side, with the pistol dangling from it. When they'd scouted Sanderson on a previous walk, they noted that the dog was always on a long lead. There'd be some distance between the dog and Sanderson. The dog didn't seem particularly nervous, but might well sense a man waiting in the night. Comes the dog. The shooter went into his routine, squaring his feet, the deep breath already taken. He exhaled slowly, held it, and the dog was there, 10 feet out, turning his big head toward the shadow. The alarm, or curiosity, or something in his eyes. He knew something. The shooter was in his shooting crouch, arms extended, and the gun recoiled a bit. There was a fast snap sound, like an electrical spark, and a mechanical ratcheting as the gun cycled. The dog dropped, shot between the eyes, and the shooter vaulted from the shadows, moving fast, right there in Sanderson's face in a quarter second. This was no TV show, and you do fuck with the man. Sanderson's eyes just had time to widen, and his hand went to his pocket. He never really thought he'd need the pistol. Never really thought. The shooter had reversed the pistol in his hand and now held it by the silencer, so that it functioned as a hammer. He chopped Sanderson on the left ear, and Sanderson staggered, falling, and put down his gun hand, no gun in it, and the gun pocket hit the ground with a clank, and the shooter, realizing that he hadn't hit him quite hard enough, hit him again, and this time Sanderson went flat. Not a killing blow. They needed those